Hello and welcome to Gangzone here, post-game live show. My name is Ryan Sampson, executive producer of the New York Post Sports. Tough game tonight for the New York Jets. Losing was one of the 49ers week one Monday night, 32-19. This was, for us as Jets fans, tough to watch, after a fun start to the game. And I'm here to break it all down with my guy, Frankie Vittorini from U Stadium. Frankie, how you doing, man?
Oh man, oh man, oh man. I mean, what can you say? I mean, you're playing a team that has been together forever. It feels like that coach just has a system, and there was nothing we did to mess with that system. When you play a team like the San Francisco 49ers that were just in the Super Bowl, and I was nervous, Ryan, for this exact reason. I was nervous because I told myself, are they just going to basically repeat the game plan that they had in the Super Bowl? Kyle had over 115 days, 117 days to prepare for the Jets. Are they just going to do a slow and steady, methodical sort of game plan, and they will win the race? And they may even burn you in that race if you allow them to. And it was a sad performance by our defense. And I say sad because these guys are better than that. They're all Jermaine Johnson, you're better than that. Sauce Gardner, you're better than that. You're better than being benched because the secondary was missing tackles. And then what? Purdy goes 6 of 6 on the next drive or whatever he went. I mean, those guys are better than that. And it's sad because I feel bad that they weren't able to show the world how good they actually are. But that's what happens when you play San Francisco week one. And this team that we have is pretty new. So,
yeah, Frankie, let's reset the stage here a little bit. Thank you for all the fans joining in right now, coming in from YouTube, X, Facebook, on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. Appreciate everyone. If you have any comments, please hit the chat. We'll be reading those comments off as we go through this show. Frankie, I want to set the stage here a little bit. The Jets coming into this game Monday night, obviously, last year, Aaron Rodgers goes down 4 plays in. The NFL schedule makers knew what they were doing tonight, setting up this stage for Rodgers' return. He comes out, first series, it didn't go great. It was like, for them. They go through, 3 and out, and then the Jets defense stops him. But before any of that, and I know I'm getting into the weeds here a little bit. CMC, we hear the news that he's out for this game. So now as Jets fans, you're starting to get a little amped up, like, okay, maybe the Jets can pull this game off and actually win this game with San Francisco. But to your point, this 49ers team is one of the best in the NFL. There's a reason why they were in the Super Bowl last year, and they proved it from the get-go against the Jets tonight.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, listen, dude, it's not about CMC. It's not about Jordan Mason having a game like he had. And I said it to my buddy, too, before the game. He texted me, the line hasn't moved? Why hasn't the line moved? It doesn't matter. Vegas knows it doesn't matter when you have Kyle Shanahan. Sometimes it's better when you have a kid like Jordan Mason who has no wear and tear, has no previous injuries that he's dealing with. We might have been better if CMC played tonight with the hampered calf. This kid was as fresh. He was fresh out of the box. With that offensive line, the way they were manhandling our defensive line, we were talking about it. Everybody, Ryan, is catching. Our their offensive linemen are catching our defensive linemen. Kyle Juszczyk is catching DNs and driving them back 5 yards. Everyone's catching. Our secondary's catching running backs, tight ends, wide receivers who are gaining an extra 2 or 3 yards. They wanted it more. They were more aggressive, and that was it. They could have played this game 20 times. With CMC, with Jordan Mason, with Elijah Mitchell. I mean, they could have played with whoever. They could have played with a backup quarterback if they wanted to. They're winning 19 of those times with the way they played. With that offensive line, they're beating us 19 out of 20. They're more prepared. They've played together.
That's ultimately what it came down to tonight, Frankie, is that it felt like the Jets were not prepared defensively, and that was the marquee for this team. We all expected that the offense would have its struggles. Aaron Rodgers hasn't played a full season. He's got to get chemistry with Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Breece Hall, the new offensive line. But the defense, that's what was shocking tonight. The defense was pitiful tonight. The defense did not show up. They were outcoached. To your point, they were catching offensive linemen. The blocks they were not setting. I mean, the edge. How many times were me and you going back and forth talking about the defensive lines getting swallowed up? Michael Clemens, you got swallowed up tonight. And this was a moment for the Jets defense and the defensive line to make its statement and say, hey, Hassan Reddick, we know you haven't shown up at all at training camp. We know it's been a storyline. You're the lone holdout in the rest of the NFL. The defensive line didn't show up tonight. There was no pressure. There was no pressure on Brock Purdy. There was no setting the edge against the run. The 49ers were able to move that ball up and down the field, control the ball from 5, 6, 7-minute drives, prolonged drives, keep Aaron Rodgers in that offense from getting into a rhythm at all in this game. And Kyle Shanahan was able to do whatever he wants, to your point, in this game. He was able to draw play action passes on first down. He was able to put some move the pocket plays for Brock Purdy, play action, roll out to the left. He could do whatever he want. They had no problem operating this offense without CMC. And that, for me, as a Jets fan, was the most disappointing thing tonight. And I'd be interested to hear what Robert Saleh has to say tonight about this. But at the end of the day, you got your teeth kicked in on defense, and that's upsetting. And that's something that the defense should always be ahead of the offense in week 1 early on in the NFL season.
Yeah. Yeah, and that brings up another question, Rye. How much blame do you put on Robert Saleh? And I'll be completely honest. I blame him, but I almost don't. The Niners are just 5 steps ahead. We want to be at a point at the end of the year where we're somewhat functioning like they've been functioning for 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years they've been functioning like this. Even Jordan Mason's been on the Niners for a few years. This is his 3rd year on the Niners. So everyone's like, oh, who's Jordan Mason? Someone they picked up. No, he's been there. He's been there for 2 years. This is his 3rd year with the team. So when you're looking at the Niners, man, every single person on that team has been there. They've all been there. Kittle's been there. Debo's been there. Ayuk, Juszczyk, Trent Williams. Even the right tackle they extended this year has been there. He's been drafted by them. Brock Purdy's his 3rd year. Jordan Mason's his 3rd year. Then on defense, they have 2 of the best defenders in the league. Arguably 2 of the best at their position in the league. Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? They punched you in the mouth, and there was nothing you were going to do about it. And that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, I think
Try to make it that simple, but that is what it is.
No,
man.
I know. Before we flip it over to the offense and talk about Rodgers, I do want to bring up a couple of the comments from the chat here. Tell no lies, see no lies. You guys got an open phone line. Would love to ask you guys some questions and chat it up. Listen, man, we don't have a designated phone line, but if you have any questions, please type it in the chat. We will gladly answer anything you got in here.
We need a phone line.
Listen, there's some comments in here I agree with. If Rodgers trusted more than one, and this brings me to my offense here. If Rodgers trusted one more receiver, he would dice us up. Wilson was so hard to cover. Yeah, I agree, James Darnold. I mean, Garrett Wilson on that drive for the touchdown, he was unguardable. I mean, Rodgers on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, and I think another 3rd and 7 converted 3 straight 3rd downs to Garrett Wilson. You saw that chemistry that we heard about all season, all summer long about Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, and you saw him on the sideline after they scored the touchdown with Breece Hall, and it's like, okay, you know what, Frankie, that looked pretty good. We haven't seen that from the Jets offense in a couple of years. You get a little excited. You're like, oh, maybe Rodgers is back, but then, the Breece Hall fumble, that was a killer early. For you in the offense, looking at it tonight, what are you taking away, as we look at it from a bird's eye view of this game?
Listen, I think Rodgers looked good. I don't want to say he looked great, but he looked good. He looked good enough for me. Like, I just wanted to see him play. I wanted to see him complete a game, even though he technically didn't complete the game. I don't know why they took him out at the end. Keep him in. Just finish the game. It's embarrassing putting Tyrod in, but whatever. Rodgers looked good. The receivers looked fine. Nothing special. I think Lazard actually, outside of the drop early on, I think he played well.
He did.
He did. Yeah, he ended up with a touchdown at the end to give him 2. Breece, to me, listen, and this has been a thing about Breece for a bit. The offensive line looked whatever, not great. So I think that's where I think the team struggled. But I think the offensive line, specifically run blocking, looked a little iffy. But Breece has an issue here, and he's had an issue like this since his college days. He is not the most patient runner within the tackles.
Yeah,
He
I could
either
see
wants
that.
to power. Yeah. He either wants to power through it because he's so strong and physical, or he wants to bounce it to the outside. Sometimes gain those 4 or 5 yards. Curtis Martin it. We know, one of our favorite backs. Curtis it. Slow and steady, then pop one off. You can't. He has these games. You remember last year he had a 4 to 5 game stretch where he was averaging 2.5 to 3 and change yards a carry. We need him to be a little bit better within the tackles, and that sometimes puts your offense at a disadvantage because you're not in manageable second and third down situations. I wish we would have played Braylon Allen a little bit in the beginning of the game. He looked very good at the end. Did you see that? He had a few bursts where it looked like he was making some.
He could be a great change of pace back. I agree. I think the other thing with Breece Hall, and I agree to your point, he does have that moment of I'm going to hit the downhill as hard as I can, even if it's in between the tackles.
Yes,
you would like to see him a little more patient, but I think the Jets were smart in how they used him at the start of the game. They tried to get him in space. You saw a bunch of pitches, pulling the tackles, pulling Tyler Conklin, and Conklin was laying dudes out to start the run game for them. That to me, it shows a little bit of creativeness in trying to get Breece Hall in space because that is when he is most effective. You put him one-on-one with a defender on the outside, he's going to make that defender miss 9 times out of 10. And you saw a little bit of that elusiveness from him. Yeah, I agree. In between the tackles, it's a little bit tough sledding for Breece Hall right now. I think the other thing with the offense and with the run game is the offensive line. I thought Elijah Vera Tucker struggled tonight. I think there was a lot of rust for him. He's missed 22 games in the last 2 seasons with, the triceps injury and the Achilles injury back-to-back seasons. He didn't look great tonight. I thought Morgan Moses was okay. Tyron Smith had a couple of rusty moments too. You could see that he hasn't played much this preseason. They've monitored his snaps and practices. So he looked a little rusty. I mean, Nick Bosa got after him. Leonard Floyd had a pressure. For them, I think this offensive line needs a little bit more time, and hopefully in a couple more games, you can see them start to gel. But the potential is there. I feel like it's just they couldn't get much going in the run game. Their pass blocking actually, I thought, held up altogether pretty well, all things considered.
No, definitely, I agree with that. I just don't think. Listen, I mean, there just wasn't enough usage. There weren't enough plays. It just felt like, even in the first half, I mean. You look at what we did, and you're like, oh, finally we have some remnants of a decent offense, of a good offense, and we're like, wait, we only have 7 points? How's that possible? That's what happens when you play the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say Kyle Shanahan said it at halftime. He goes, when they had that long 5.5, I think it was 6-minute drive to end the first half, and they end with a field goal after multiple penalties. And they're talking to him at halftime, Lisa Salters or Laura Rutledge, and then they're asking, like, what'd you think about that, your offense to end the first half? He's like, man, that was an awesome drive by us. I'm just happy we kept that ball at Aaron Rodgers' hands. If you see, you could see that was the game plan tonight, Frankie. It was, let's just going to grind you down. We're going to run the ball. We're going to hand it off. They handed it off 38 times tonight. Jordan Mason averaged 5.3 per carry tonight. Wow. I mean, he looked like a man-child running wild on them. And CJ Mosley, he got banged up on that one play against the guard. They called him for holding, and he got crumpled over a little bit. You could see his I think it was his left wrist. He fell on it, and then he came up. He left the game for a little bit. Sauce Gardner left the game for a little bit. Quincy Williams, I thought, was okay. Again, we could talk about the offense. We can talk about the offensive line. It ultimately came down to tonight. The Jets defense was just pitiful against the run and just all around. They, like you said, they ran into the buzzsaw that is the San Francisco 49ers. I got this question here, Frankie, from David Brill. Why not go no huddle to change things up? Pass blocking was pretty good versus run blocking. Kind of talked about that, right?
Yeah. I would say, though, to that question, it's a good question, but I don't think it would have mattered tonight. We didn't have the ball enough.
Yeah.
Like, they just controlled the game. They controlled the tempo. They did what they wanted to. They almost, I felt like, didn't even want to score too fast. Let's keep it slow and steady. And sometimes the best coaches do this. I don't know if you caught the game last night, but the Lions and the Rams, when they play, they do the same kind of thing. Let's control the clock. Let's do these outs. Let's keep the clock
Don't get cute.
moving. Yeah. Let's pick up our first downs. Let's not get too risky. because then we will turn the ball over, and they know playing the Jets defense that they could be prone to turning it over against Sauce and those guys. So let's just keep it slow and steady. So even if we did do no huddle, when were we going to do no huddle?
Yeah.
When, I mean,
I think you saw it in the third quarter when that Rodgers touchdown drive.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Rye, this was a typical thing of this was two situations for me. One is what I spoke about. They're just a well-oiled machine that's been running for 2 years. Two, Kyle Shanahan will expose your weaknesses. So if you're weak on the D-line and you're weak stopping the run and your safeties are a little shaky in coverage and you have issues running the ball within the tackles, that's been our problem. That's been the problem for the last 2 years.
Well, remember,
we can't run the ball within the tackles. Our safeties are mid. I hate using that, but they are. And our defensive linemen really they're okay, but like outside of Q, no one's really established themselves. We were hoping Jermaine maybe would take another leap. He had a rough one tonight. He went up against some guys that are tough. They're not giving you any passes. And what happened? You got exposed at those three levels, and Jordan Mason ran for 148 yards, and you got diced up and by your safeties lack in coverage. They diced us up there. You saw that use check play. I mean, you saw a bunch of stuff like that, and we couldn't run the ball up the middle to give Rodgers a little bit more manageable situations. That's what happened.
I agree, Frankie. I mean, I agree with XC here too. XC here a little bit also. It's a good comment. Core of the Jets defense has been together also, no excuse. I kind of agree there a little bit. I mean, that was kind of pathetic a little bit from this Jets defense. Was this is CJ Mosley, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Quincy Williams. These are guys Jermaine Johnson, guys you're counting on to come through. And in the biggest moments, I felt like even at the end of that third quarter, after the Jets go down the field and Rodgers leads a vintage Rodgers touchdown, getting the free play, throws a 36-yard bomb to Allen Lazard for a touchdown. It's like, okay, maybe we have a chance here. And the Jets defense, again, just got steamrolled. They didn't answer the bell. And that's on Robert Saleh. That's on Jeff Ulbrich. It's on Aaron Whitecott, your defensive line coach. You guys have got no pressure tonight. No pressure tonight.
Yeah, nothing.
That was pitiful. Brock Purdy, he's not the greatest quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. I think, you talked about how Brock's very impressive to watch sometimes. He laid some dimes in there, that Brandon Ayuk ball that should have been caught in the end zone for a touchdown. The Jets got away with just getting a field goal there. He can throw it. He can spin it, but he doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not the greatest athlete. But the Jets defense looked like, again, that you can't get any pressure. And I think the other thing too, why aren't we drawing up any blitzes? It felt like there was just 4-man rushers or 5-man pressures. That's all it was. 5-man rushes or 4-man rushes for the Jets defensive line with no blitz whatsoever.
Nothing special. Bring Michael Carter off a blitz. He played safety in his day. Bring him off the edge. Bring DJ Reed off the edge. Dice up something with Quincy Williams on a stunt. Try something. They are gonna milk you to death. Like they're literally gonna bleed you out. That's what the 49ers do. That's what every great offense does. That's it. Listen, I was hoping there'd be rust there, and you saw some with Ayuk. You saw a little rust there. Maybe you saw a little bit with Trent Williams, although our ends were completely out of it. But Trent looked a little iffy too. I saw him moving. He wasn't all there, but it didn't really matter.
Played every snap tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, he had to leave for a second, but I don't think he missed any snaps.
He got an IV, but the man played almost every snap tonight. Yeah, again, that's to the point of there's no rust there for the 49ers. They can, Ayuk missed all training camp, and he stepped right in. He got a couple catches. He did that the big drop, but still performed really well. I think, if you guys listen to Gangs All Here preview show, we did one with Costello this week. Kaz brought up a great point, and I think we saw it come to fruition. We had related it to CMC and Debo, and unfortunately it came into the Jordan Mason show today. The tackling for the Jets defense was also very poor. There was not good tackle.
That is the real reason why we struggle against the run. That's the reason. Outside of us struggling on the edge, sorry to cut in, but outside of us struggling in C gap and D gap on the outside, our ends just, when they're reach blocking us, we don't keep that outside leverage, so we keep getting beat. Outside of that, these guys can't tackle well. And even our linebackers, they tackle well when they're squared up. When they have to move a little bit, they're not the most agile guys moving their body and wrapping. They really don't. And our corners, forget it. You don't want to ask them to tackle, although DJ Reed's okay. And Sauce
had a stinger probably when he made that tackle on Debo.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw him come out, and then they said it wasn't an injury. He's just standing on the sideline. That was weird. It was like, Sauce
That's
okay?
going to be a weakness for us, though. We have to accept it. Tackling, that's why I was saying, and we even mentioned this, you and I talking, I thought Debo would be a problem tonight due to the fact that he's so strong after the catch, and I don't trust our guys to wrap.
Yep.
I don't. I just really don't. And
no, I know.
Debo he had a pretty good game, nothing special, but Jordan Mason, we couldn't tackle him. I mean, Michael Clemens and these guys, these defensive linemen, are just shedding off the guy at the line of scrimmage. Solomon Thomas in the beginning of the game was not there.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah. Somebody asked a question I just saw in the chat on, I don't know if you see it on Twitter. I think it's a good question. I don't know what you think, Rye, but
yes, go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. At this point, no way. But I'm hoping, now maybe hope isn't always good here. Sometimes you don't need to hope. You need to pray and hope that something magical happens. No, but I'm hoping that Robert Saleh can become a better head coach and can become a more aggressive defensive coach. What I mean by defensive is what Ryan just said, being a little bit more creative, blitzing, putting some more pressure in unique ways on the quarterback and even on the receivers and stuff. Show them some different stuff. Pop Jermaine Johnson out in coverage and bring Quincy on a blitz. I mean, you could do some unique things there. Doesn't do much of that, but he's like that. He likes to play a base. And yeah, and just what was the first thing I was saying? I was saying with the defense. And is he going to be able to become a better head coach?
Correct.
Meaning, is he going to be able to get a game plan together
against these top tier teams? Yes.
Yeah, like Kyle Shanahan had tonight. Is he going to be able to Kyle Shanahan, another coach, and can he put together a game plan against a Kyle Shanahan that keeps things close and you win it late? That's what a head coach needs to do, ultimately. I don't know. I hope he can get there by week 10. But right now, no.
No, I agree, Frankie. I do want to play this sound real quick. Robert Saleh, here he was talking about the 49ers and the performance tonight on that offense and how his defense played tonight. Let's take a listen.
Defense, did not play like you used to play.
Yeah, it's anytime you get run on like that. And credit to them, like I said, it's a championship outfit, and they introduced us to some championship football, and we'll get that shit fixed.
There you have it, Frankie. We'll get that shit fixed. That's what Robert Saleh says about his defense and going up against the championship team in the 49ers. It's a good quote from Saleh. I'll give him credit, but yeah, you got
He's right about a championship outfit. I mean, that's a good way to describe it. That is a championship outfit. That's a gold-studded with some titanium like sleeve outfit right there. I mean, that's like ironclad, man. You ain't. Yeah, but how do you beat an outfit like that? I mean, why don't you give a little bit? I mean, I'm not saying he needed to do it then, but like he needs to think about how he's gonna attack the championship outfit. How do you make that championship outfit look like a bum outfit? That's what you got to figure out, man.
Right. What's your game plan? How are you going to stop that offense? Yes. And again, the two big things: poor tackling, which leads to the run game being really effective against you. And the other thing I think is you got no pressure on Brock Purdy. And this aligns with something bigger that we need to discuss here, Frankie, right now is the Hassan Reddick situation. He's been gone the entire time since he's been traded with the Jets. Ever since that introductory press conference with him, he has not been a part of this organization. This was a big win for Hassan Reddick and his agent tonight. They gotta be smiling ear to ear. It says
would say that. That's such a you thing.
But it's the truth, though.
They're getting the checkbook. Woody and them are getting that checkbook out tomorrow morning.
I mean, Brock Purdy, it says 2 sacks tonight, but we all know he was not sacked. They were BS sacks. The one was at the
Sauce
end where
had
he
a sack
fell
tonight.
down. One where he's like, come on. Let's be real. They just got zero pressure. I mean, you had one in the beginning with Quinn Williams, another one with Javon Kinlaw, but Javon Kinlaw will worry the rest of the game. Quinn Williams will worry the rest of the game. Jermaine Johnson, I saw you have a hands to the face penalty, which is undisciplined error on you again. These are the things that are on the coaches for discipline and on scheme and how you're going to draw up pressures against this team. The 49ers are obviously one of the best, but when you go up against the Kansas Cities, the Cincinnati Bengals, even the Josh Allens of the world, you got to get pressure on these quarterbacks. And if you're just letting them sit back there like you did Brock Purdy tonight, they're going to pick you apart because even if you have 2 stud corners, they can't cover all the time. They cannot cover all the time. And you saw it tonight. You saw the effects of that.
I agree. I do. And I'm worried about Will McDonald a little bit. I'm worried about Jermaine Johnson specifically too. Like I'm worried about those 2 guys. Because why I'm saying I'm worried about them is one of the 2 has to elevate. Will McDonald has to elevate into a starting caliber edge player. And Jermaine Johnson, if Hassan Reddick's not here, has to elevate into a top 15 edge player, which he's not yet. Let's just be honest. Okay. I know we all love Jermaine Johnson, but those tackles tonight made him look like average to below average.
I will say for
run of the mill defensive end. And I love Jermaine, but he ain't that guy yet. So who's gonna elevate? Or you better get that 3-year, $72 million deal ready to be signed soon.
Is that what it's going to take to get Hassan Reddick in the door?
I assume so, right? It's going to be $25 million a year. He's not going to take 23. He wants 25. Wants that little extra on top for his fines. I don't know if you would pay it, but I mean, listen, looking at these defensive ends today. But I will say
Michael Clemens cannot be starting. I'm sorry, he can't. And maybe you play Will McDonald more. I'm Michael Clemens. He can't stop the run. He's a big dude. He's a scary guy to look at, but he gets mauled by these tackles and he just collapses and he doesn't get the edge well at all. And for me, like I can't have him. This is what happens though when you sacrifice the depth and quality on your defensive line to go all in for a guy like Hassan Reddick, right? You traded John Franklin Myers. You let Bryce Huff walk in free agency, and then you decided to replace Bryce Huff with the very guy that was in Philadelphia where Bryce Huff went, in Hassan Reddick. And now all of a sudden, because of the miscommunication, I guess, either on Joe Douglas's part or on the agent or both, you aren't paying one of your best defensive players, and he's not here on this team. And you saw the effects of that tonight. It's real. It's there. The Jets defense might be saying, oh, we're fine. We'll get it together. I know CJ Mosley has some quotes right now. He said 49ers did their game plan. This is what they do. We'll correct it. Robert Saleh is saying we'll get that shit fixed. Okay. Let's see if you can get this shit fixed then, because you're going to have you're going to go up against Titans next week and a quarterback that's not good. You know, Will Levis, he ain't Brock Purdy. Let's be real. And it's not the 49ers offense. Let's see what you can do. You got to bounce back. So that was the big story tonight, I think, Frankie, for me, is besides Aaron Rodgers and what he's done, and I do want to hit on that again. I think ultimately this Jets defense is going to be the huge talking point for the rest of this week and how the hell they bounce back against the Titans next week, man.
Yeah. I mean, next week's got to be a big bounce back week for them. Listen, I hate giving passes. I hate making excuses, but it is the San Francisco 49ers. It is Kyle Shanahan. It is a Brock Purdy who's only getting better game by game, who by all accounts is the first one in, last one out. Actually, it is Deebo Samuel. It's that offensive line. Even though that offensive line's shaky, they're tougher than you. I mean, it's George Kittle. It's Kyle Juszczyk. I mean, I am giving them a pass until next week. Mm-hmm. Next week for me is the real litmus test. This was a shot in the dark. Maybe this team is that special, or the Niners are really in this Super Bowl hangover period, even though it takes some time for that to kind of kick in, even for teams that, lost the year before. So you won't even really see that in a 2 to 3 week period. It might take half a season. Next week, Rye, is the litmus test. You're on the road. You're playing a team that lost a tough game that literally they should have won. They should have beat Chicago. Let's see what the defense looks like then. And listen, they have to look good then, because if the defense doesn't look good then, and they're, Tennessee's watching this tape and like, crap, if Jordan Mason could do that, we got 2 running backs there. They got Pollard and Spears. They're going to try to run the hell out of the ball too. If then there's an issue, then we got to figure out what are we doing with that D line. Maybe we're playing that kid from Miami more. Did he even play tonight? No, he didn't. I don't even think he was activated. But no, yeah, maybe they got to bring Leonard Taylor in.
Yeah, Taylor didn't activate. They had Braden McGregor, who again didn't do much tonight.
That's a wrong move, because
they knew they needed a pass rush. They need a pass rush.
Right, but they needed a pass rush anywhere, though. They needed a pass rush from the inside, the out. They needed a pass rush anywhere. You could have brought corner blitzes, like we're saying, get a rush. But even if you got a rush, Brock Purdy's getting the ball out so fast, man. Like, it's just, even if
2nd and 19, you're letting him sit back there, bake a friggin' cake back there.
Yeah, that was
picking you apart to Deebo
one.
Samuel, to Juwan Jennings. I mean, it was pathetic from the Jets defense all around from start to finish. They had 2 first drives where they shut the 49ers, and they had a really nice response after the Breece Hall fumble, and it was a really ugly start for the Jets with a 3-and-out, the Breece Hall fumble, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. The Lazard drop, Breece Hall fumble, and then they stop them and they hold them to a field goal. Then the Jets go down. Aaron Rodgers. So let's spin it to Aaron Rodgers. What did you make of tonight? What did you take away from what he did in his first, let's call it his actual first start for the Jets here, and actually getting through a full game healthy, leading this offense in the way it went?
Listen, I think he looked good. I don't want to say anything more or less. I'm a little concerned with his confidence when the pocket starts to break down to do things that Aaron used to do.
Mm-hmm.
You saw him when he threw that interception. It got tight in there, and he kind of just threw it and he forced it in there. He's going to do that. He's getting older. He doesn't have the escapability that he used to have. But I'm concerned there. And I saw that deep ball he threw that just sort of, sailed on everyone. I think it was to Garrett, right?
Yep.
It didn't. His arm looked a little flat. Aaron
You
usually
thought it was
doesn't
flat
have
tonight?
That pass looked flat to me.
I think it was just a miscommunication. I don't know. I thought Garrett kind of ran into the corner there,
and he saw it late, so he didn't pop it. But
yeah,
I didn't
throw
see
he had
that.
to Garrett though on the 3rd and 7. That first drive, like the touchdown drive, the first one. I mean, he
was nice.
Rifled that ball into Garrett.
I'm talking about like the deep ball, Aaron,
the
the 40-yard Aaron tosses. I want to see, does he have, because when Aaron does that toss, man, that thing flies like it's in a hot air balloon or something. I just want to see it. I'm not expecting it necessarily often, but like when he threw that last one, the one that we were talking about when it sailed over, it was a miscommunication. Looked a little flat, but listen, I'm picking at hairs. He looked good. I wish he had more volume, but there wasn't really more volume to be had.
No, there was no more volume to have.
Let's just be honest. Like he had 21 attempts, completed 13 of them. He had 167 yards. He had a touchdown.
The interception was
there.
The tip off of
the interception. That's an unfortunate play when you're doing a dive
behind Garrett a little bit. Yeah,
no, it wasn't a great throw. It was a little bit forced. Garrett wasn't really expecting it either. He had to kind of adjust to it last second there, and it happens. I mean, that's tip drill 101. But they're gonna need, I think, to figure out specifically with those running backs how they want to use them and how they're gonna pick up easy chunks of yards within the tackles. Breece, and if you listen to Breece, I just watched the Pivot podcast with Breece, which was actually really, really cool because I didn't know Breece like that. He's a very interesting, cool dude. He wants to hit a home run every time. Yeah. He literally says that on the podcast. He's like, I'm the best home run guy, in the league if I want to be. I'm always looking to take it 6. You don't always have to take it 6. It's not always about getting 6 out there. Sometimes you don't have to worry about it. Sometimes, you go to the bar to have 2 drinks and go home. It's okay. All right. You don't have to go big or go home all the time. You can go big or you can go home. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making any sense. But, he always wants to hit a home run with it. Go take it, be a little patient, slide, get 4 or 5 yards. You're strong enough. Don't constantly either just want to, jack up through there, or you got to bounce it to the outside.
Yeah.
Braylon Allen, and someone mentioned in
saw
the
that.
chat. Shout out to the
Braylon
chat
Allen.
gang, by the way. We see
Yes.
you guys out there and gals. Yeah, they should have put Braylon in a bit earlier.
There was,
At least for a few carries.
how many opportunities were there really there for him? I mean, it's like the same thing with Rodgers, limited amount of snaps. So
I know.
Breece Hall is a home run hitter. I'm not taking my best weapon off the field. I love Breece Hall, and I want to see Braylon Allen too, but you gotta keep the home run hitter in. I'm not taking him off the field.
Once in a while.
I know. No, definitely for change of pace. Like, I think.
Did you see Braylon those last two
right,
touches he had?
I think what you can do though, Frankie, and tell me if I'm wrong here. I think you can work Braylon Allen into an entire drive from the start. So let's say if you had 2 straight drives that in one quarter and you're going for your third one and the defense keeps stopping the opposing team. Yeah, I'll get Braylon Allen in to start a whole drive and see what he does. Give him a couple carries, maybe throw the ball once or twice. The other thing with Aaron Rodgers, I think tonight is, you did see him key in on Garrett Wilson a lot after Allen Lazard dropped that third down ball in the first drive. He was just going to Garrett. There was no one else. I was a little surprised he didn't spread it all to Tyler Conklin. And the other thing that I think I took away from the offense and Aaron Rodgers is Mike Williams, only played a limited amount of snaps. I know the Jets said he was going to be on snap count, but not even targeted today. He really, you wouldn't even know he dressed for this game until ESPN showed him on the sideline at that one point. That was a little shocking to me, is the fact that they did not get the ball into Tyler Conklin, Jeremy Ruckert, other guys' hands, maybe even like a Malachi Corley or Xavier Gibson.
I agree with that.
Just to change it up a little bit. I mean,
2 wide receivers and Breece. That was all that.
That's all.
That Aaron
it was
completed
Breece
passes
and Garrett
to.
Wilson. And don't get me wrong; those are your 2 best guys, and you want to give them those are the 2 best guys. You want to give them the ball as many times as possible. But for me, I just wish they could have spread it out a little bit more, and that will be something I'm going to focus on again next week against the Titans. Is how does Rodgers divide and conquer with getting the ball to the other guys' hands?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. I was concerned about our wide receiving room coming into this year, and that's before we even drafted Corley. I mean, I'm still concerned about them. I'm still concerned about Mike Williams, concerned about Corley, concerned about Lazard a bit. Although I told people Lazard's probably going to have a better year than Mike Williams because of his relationship with Aaron. They get each other. And you saw it on that free play. That's Aaron going back to his Green Bay days. Free play, Green Bay days. I don't have to worry about making a mistake. Bam, I hit my old buddy. That connection never left, in that moment. So, yes, but we need to figure out how we're going to get Tyler Conklin involved, how we're going to get Jeremy Ruckert involved, how we're going to get Braylon Allen involved. The offensive game plan tonight was not even at all impressive. I know fans like, oh, we had some nice plays. There was some nice, that little bubble out to Breece and, some plays we had to Garrett. I'm like, that's what you're looking for? Did you see what the other team did to us on offense? I want an offensive game plan like that.
Well, they pounded us to death.
Yeah. With a running back who's never started an NFL game before.
That's what was shocking. That's what was shocking about this 49ers offense and what they did to this Jets defense tonight. The thing that you were hoping for is the Jets defense could be top 5 again in the NFL, and tonight they look nothing like it. The offense actually looked better, in my opinion, than the defense did tonight, or at least a little bit more prepared in terms of what they were going to be going up against. But overall, it was the 49ers are a better team. Plain and simple.
Not even close.
Not even close. The Jets are not in their class right now. This is, and of course, Frankie, we are looking at the Jets 0-1 again to start the season. It's the 5th time in 6 years.
You know how I knew we were going to lose tonight?
Because the rest of the AFC East is all 1-0. Yep, exactly.
Yes. When the Patriots beat the Bengals yesterday, I was like, oh my God, this is such a karma thing. We're not going to win tomorrow night, I swear. When the Pats beat the Bengals, I was sold. I was like, all right, we're not winning tomorrow. Like, if the Bengals won, I would be like, yeah, we're probably going to win. It's just always like a sick joke, I feel like. But someone mentioned it in the chat, and they're kind of trashing the Jets a bit. But it did remind me of just like a better high school team playing a one that's like wanting to get there, but like isn't even close to being there yet. But listen, let's put a silver lining on this game, right? Let's not be completely negative. Let's try to be a little positive here. Aaron completed the game. Aaron had the best drive that I've seen in a long time. We had the longest drive that we've had in a year and a half. That 7-minute drive. Garrett looked like Garrett. Brees at times looked like Brees.
The 49ers defense is legit. Let's be real. The 49ers defense is legit.
Yeah, the Jets have to make it to listen, in my opinion, when week 8's here, if we can be 5-3, we're Gucci. You know, we're Gucci. 5-3. Even if we're 4-4, it's okay. This team has to get better as the year goes on. It's new. Aaron's never played with Garrett. Aaron's never handed it off to Brees. Aaron doesn't know anything about how Tyler Conklin is out there. That offense is all new. The offensive line, for the most part, is new players playing with playing next to each other. The defense has some consistency year over year in terms of depth, but there's still some new pieces there too. So like this team is, to me, it's just like a lot of new players playing. Like Chuck Clark was in there tonight a lot. You saw they give Sherwood a lot of looks. They're trying to, they brought in a kid tonight on the D line, Holmes, from the practice squad. That's how you know the defensive line department was struggling. And he made the best play tonight. That kid Holmes made the best play of any defensive lineman. Maybe Q made a few nice plays. He did. But let's say outside of Q. Whenever I see D-line, let's put Q in another box. But he made the best play tonight out of all these guys. Jermaine was nowhere to be found. McDonald, Clemens, nowhere to be found. Solomon Thomas, nowhere to be found. I mean, like, there's these guys have to figure out a way to keep getting better. And that's what I want to see. So next week is my litmus test.
Against the Titans, Sunday, 1 o'clock next week. Frankie, for us, I think I want to thank the chat, obviously, tuning in here. Gang's all here, post-game live show. We're going to be doing this all season long. Frankie and myself, we're going to be breaking down every single Jets game after the game, talking with you guys, the fans. Hit
1,000 on Twitter, bro. Let's go. Okay.
Yeah, let's go. I like it.
Okay.
We're doing well. We appreciate you guys as always just tuning in. Dexter, I see you saying hi. We appreciate you watching,
Dexter,
man.
the GOAT.
Yeah, I think ultimately we're going to watch to see how the Jets respond, how they're going to make their adjustments. The defense has to be better, period. Cannot repeat what they had today. You can use the championship level team if you want as an excuse, and they are better prepared and all that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to Robert Saleh, Aaron Rodgers, and that defense. How are they going to respond? How are they going to perform? The ultimate litmus test is next week against the Titans in week 2. But ultimately, this was a disappointment, to say the least, tonight, Frankie, for the Jets.
It was. I mean, listen, we've been waiting for this game for how long? After Aaron went down in week 1 last year, we were just waiting for it. I mean, I was so nervous just waiting for him to complete a pass. That's why when Lazard dropped that ball, I'm like, I need this 0 passing yards stat out of my freaking head. Can you just please catch a 1-yard pass, please? So it was like that happened. Then the broadcast a few series later came back with showing Aaron getting hurt. Then Brees fumbles, and I'm like, what is going on? But I mean, listen, we've been waiting for this for how long? It feels like it's been literally 2 years. We're just waiting for Aaron. And you know what? It was disappointing, but I don't think it's not anything more than just an L in the win-loss. I think in 2 or 3 weeks, this game will be pretty irrelevant to me. It'll just be an L in the win-loss column. But I don't think this game is like indicative of any major pressing issues necessarily. Like, I think talking about the run defense, there's not many teams that run block like the San Francisco 49ers.
I agree.
And, so you just have to hope that if you're in a playoff situation, you're playing against a team that doesn't have a system like San Fran, which 9.5 times out of 10, that's going to be the case. You're not going to worry about a San Francisco team that runs the ball the way they do. So you don't have to like, yes, that is a weakness and it needs to be addressed, but it's a weakness. There's weaknesses on football teams.
Yeah.
My big thing. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Frankie.
No, my big thing is what happened with Sauce tonight. I mean, you took Sauce off the field. If you want to talk like why was Sauce taken out of the game, and then Purdy goes 6 of 6 on that drive, or 6 of whatever. Maybe it was 6 of 7, or maybe it was 7. I don't really recall right now. But you took him out, and Purdy doesn't, miss anyone, and then Sauce comes back in, and that's when Ayuk dropped that. But that wasn't really anyone. That wasn't Sauce. But I'm just saying, what happened there is what I want to know, because what's going on?
No, I know. Sauce did speak after the game. I mean, he didn't speak much to the injury. The biggest thing that came out for him tonight was just talking about, again, the defense on third down. He said, man, we've got to be better, especially on third down. We've got to execute. We've got to make sure we get off the field. Yeah. You got to get off the field.
I know.
That's plain and simple. Third down. It always comes down to third down. If you can convert your third downs, and if you could stop you could stop the other team on third down. And the Jets did not do well in either department tonight, except for in the first half for the offense. Otherwise, it was pitiful on third down. Again, another thing that I think we should highlight is at the end of the third quarter, when the Jets could have gone down, could have done the field, they went no huddle. Rodgers was leading a nice drive. Probably should have challenged that Breece Hall. Looked like it should have been a first down after he took that swing pass on the left side, and then they showed the sideline camera.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, I didn't even think
and
about
then
that.
Garrett Wilson catches a ball, and they review it really quickly and say, nope, overturned. It's now actually 3rd and 1 instead of 1st and 10. They go Breece Hall, shotgun. I cannot stand in all my years of football, and I will never understand this play call at all, and I still don't get why teams do this. And they do it on the goal line, which drives me even more nuts. When you are in shotgun and it's third and short, or any kind of distance and short, or down in distance and short, you never want to hand the ball off in a shotgun formation. You're giving your running back absolutely zero running momentum going forward, considering it's a short amount of distance he's trying to convert. I want that guy hitting full speed by the time I'm handing the ball off to him from the quarterback's position. If I have my quarterback standing next to that running back and I'm just going like this, and he's starting in that same position, you're giving him absolutely no momentum going forward. You know what I mean, Frankie? Like that's,
I do.
That's just not good. Not mentally. You're not there as a coach understanding the situation. And that just, you're putting your player in a bad position. And that ended up Breece Hall runs it in the back of Tyron Smith. They stop him. And then 4th and 1, and they do the Garrett Wilson slant route, because it's going to him on 4th down or 3rd down and short. And the ball gets deflected. Rodgers can't complete it. And that's the end of the night for Rodgers. I would have liked to have seen them continue to drive down the field. I thought that was pretty piss poor play calling from Nathaniel Hackett, if I'm being real right now. Things to fix, things to adjust.
Yep. And to that point you're saying about handing it off out of shotgun, I think when you have a team that has a lot of volume in the passing game, and you have a lot of different wide receiver sets, and it's like the team, the defense is trying to play against the pass because they're concerned about guarding the pass, then you can do that shotgun handoff stuff. The Giants actually used to do it a lot with Eli back in the day with Ahmad Bradshaw. They were actually very good at it, but they had a lot of wide receiver sets going on. However, you know what the Jets need to do? They need Jeremy Ruckert. All right, you're the third round pick. Okay, can they use this guy in some unique freaking way? Can you motion him and put him at fullback in a goal line situation? Let him block. The guy is tough. He's strong. Can you use him a little, in ways? Forget about using him like Kyle Juszczyk. I mean, that's like hoping for, money to fall out of the sky. But I'm saying, can we try something with this guy? What is he doing on the field?
He's a blocking tight end for them at this point.
I don't not like him.
Yeah,
so it's like I want to like the guy. What is he doing out there?
He's the blocking tight end. He's a blocking tight end. That's what
he's a blocking second tight end, and he doesn't really do anything to scare a defense. He's just like a de facto T2 and block and never go out for a pass because we know you're just here to block.
I told you, Frankie, when they came out in that first drive, I'm like, whoa, they're opening up in 21 personnel. They got 2 tight ends, 1 running back. I'm like, all right, they're going to try and pound the ball right now with Ruckert and Conklin. They can block. But again, I would just like to see Rodgers spread the ball out a little bit more. Use your tight ends. Tight ends are your quarterback's best friend. I don't care what anyone says. No matter how old or young you are as a quarterback, tight end is your best friend. DJ Gene, yes, we are going to be streaming every single week on Gangs All Here Postgame Live. Frankie and myself, every week, every Jets game. Tune in
I
here.
wish it was every night, but I asked Ryan. He's busy.
No. Frankie, I'm just.
I can't talk about this team every night, please. Once a week will be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Then the bye week, I'm gonna go to Aruba or something for the bye week. I'm not gonna speak to anyone for about 14 days or 12 days.
Before I wrap this up, Frankie, Hassan Reddick, is he a New York Jet, and is he going to show up to the facility this week? Ultimately, what do you think?
After looking at that film, I think so. I think when they watched that film, because I was looking specifically at the DNs tonight, like I kept looking at Clemens, and then I stopped. I'm like, I'm gonna have a heart attack if I keep watching this guy. Then I'm looking at Jermaine Johnson, stalemated the whole game. Will McDonald tried some things, was out of position most of the night. I think when they watch these ends tonight, they're gonna be like, oh boy, this is not sustainable. I'll say this, though. We still have a run defense issue with Hassan Reddick here. It gets a little better, but there's marginally better. It's not a significant upgrade with our rush D. He's not a run stopper. Although when he was younger, he did play a more traditional linebacker role. Did have a year we had over 80 tackles, so he can play the run better than these guys can for sure. But we still have an issue there. We still have a defensive tackle issue with defensive tackle 2 and 3.
Quinn Jefferson's not here anymore. They let him go too. I mean, I know defensive line depth is not there anymore.
Yeah,
it's proven.
And listen, this guy Victor has a good comment. I mean, we have to be a little realistic. I was expecting a win tonight. I thought we could win this game. Yes. A few days ago, we have the talent. I thought San Francisco would have rust. And like we said, the only person that looked rusty tonight was Brandon Ayuk. No one else did. And San Francisco, when you play them this early, a lot of fans were saying, well, if you look at their record over the first 8 games, this unit, yada, yada, yada. But I was looking at the other end. Fred Warner's completely healthy with no nagging stuff. Debo's completely healthy. You have now, I think this Jordan Mason, I told my friend, the spread did not move even a half a point with Jordan Mason because you have a fresh out of the box running back that doesn't have any of the issues that CMC may have had trying to bounce things around tonight.
No, he's going to run right down your throat, and he looked like a man possessed tonight.
Yeah, no one has tendencies on him. You throw him in the day of, they're preparing for CMC and watching CMC film. Now you have a new kid that you don't know really anything about. Nobody really does. What is Ulbrich doing 2 hours before the game? You think he's popping in Jordan Mason tape from last year or 2 years ago when he came in? He had one good game. He had 10 carries for 69 yards against the Cowboys in a blowout. But literally, that's it. So there's nothing on this kid. Sometimes that works in your favor. It's like that backup quarterback thing. Sometimes when the backup comes in for 2 to 3 games, it's better than the starter was.
They praised Jordan Mason for a while now. They think he's very talented, and he looked talented tonight. He looked like a hell of a running back. All right, Frankie, I think we should wrap this up. Gangs All Here post-game live show. Jets lose to the 49ers 32-19 week 1 on Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers completes the game. Up and down for him. The offense, the defense, not so great, but we'll be looking forward to seeing how they respond against the Titans next week. We'll be doing the post-game live show, Gangs All Here. After that 1 o'clock game, we hope you all tune in again. Tell your friends, tell your Jets fans, friends to come on in, join the chat. We're more than happy to answer any questions you have here and react all together. And we'll see how that game goes next week. Frankie, this is a nice first step for us, man.
Yeah. I thought this was a good one, man. I always enjoy talking to you, We had a good little thing going last year. Now we're back, baby, and this is going to be the best post game ever. So just tune in, everybody. Make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Yep.
And I appreciate you, Ryan. Don't think too much about this game. We're on to Tennessee, man. That's it. And if you want to go to the game, by the way, I think that we should make a executive decision. Maybe we go down to Tennessee, go to Nashville, and
we're going to do the post game from our phones. Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah. Why the hell not? We could just get like I don't know. We could get like a hotspot and do it from wherever. I mean, it might not be a bad idea.
From Broadway, we'll do it from Broadway.
Broadway.
Jets fans, thank you so much as always for watching, and we'll be seeing you next week, man. That's Frankie Vittorini from U Stadium. I'm Ryan Sampson from the New York Post. Until next time, let's go Jets.